Okay, I think we are good here and we can start. I will pass it over to Tomasz from Amavat and he will continue the conversation.
Hi, Anna. Thank you for the introduction. It is really nice to be here with you. My name is Tomek. I'm the CEO of Amavat. In Amavat, we provide the VAT compliance services for the e-commerce businesses. But good news is that I'm not a tax advisor, so I will try to keep it simple and closer to a business than to taxes and legislation. Nevertheless, we will cover the topic of the taxes for the e-commerce. So let's start from some stats. Why the cross-border is so important and why you should consider it as part of your expansion strategy. First of all, the size of the market. Those data is from 2023, but as you can see, the European cross-border e-commerce market is over 300 billion of euro. Moreover, almost a third of European shoppers, already bought something online from seller from another EU country. And what is also very interesting, around 70% of the cross-border transaction is going through the marketplaces like Amazon, like eBay, Amag, so all of those big marketplaces that supports the cross-border sales. So why it is a challenge? As you can see, despite the really interesting numbers, almost over half of the sellers companies that are trying to go cross-border consider this as a quite a massive challenge. In most cases, we have like four pillars that makes it challenging. If you can switch the slide, please. First of all, the one of the biggest challenge is logistics. So you need to somehow figure out how to deliver your goods to other countries than your home country. In most cases, it will be multiple European Union countries. Then you need to have resources that helps you how to do it. In terms of resources, I'm thinking about people, about cash, about processes. But also you need to have some knowledge. I think that this webinar is a good first step to build the knowledge about the cross-border. And the last but not least are legal and tax aspects. And those aspects we will try to dig into on this webinar. So I've prepared a quick roadmap, like a small agenda, what we will be discussing about. First of all, we will do a quick overview if the taxes for e-commerce cross-border are easy or difficult. Then we will go through the VAT, intra-community movement of goods, Intrastat, and at the end we will talk about how to document the sales. So is it easy or difficult? So it depends. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's difficult. Why it is easy? First of all, it is easy because your main focus should be on the VAT. When you are selling cross-border, in terms of your income taxes, nothing changed. Maybe not nothing, but almost nothing changes for you. Why it is a good news that we are talking only on the VAT. The main reason for is that VAT rules are largely harmonized and transparent and standardized across the whole European Union because the VAT legislation is driven by the European Union, by the VAT directives. And then based on those directives, countries created the local legislation. Therefore, those VAT rules are similar in almost all of the European Union countries. Then the second aspect, why it is easy, is because the VAT itself is kind of the easy tax. You just need to apply the VAT on the net. You have a gross value. Then you need to somehow settle the VAT in the VAT declaration, you put the VAT, and that's all. There is nothing fancy there. Why it can be also easy for you, you can delegate the entire process to Amavat. So it is the easiest way to handle the VAT. So why it can be difficult in cross-border, if we compare it to the regular brick and mortar point of sale business, the smaller companies will face much higher transaction volume, and we need to somehow handle it. In terms of cross-border, you will probably be selling in multiple currencies on multiple markets, so you need to also somehow take care about it. There can be, from the accounting point of view, it can be also quite challenging to do the settlements, to connect the payments with the invoices, due to the fact that probably you will use a lot of payment gateways. But this is something very technical. We will not discuss it today. We'll keep it simple. We'll talk about the VAT. And the last point, the devil is in the details. So despite the fact that all the regulation based on one VAT EU-based directives, there are some local minor changes how the countries implemented this locally. In most cases, it will not impact you, but you should somehow have either someone who knows about those local interpretations, or you should have some kind of the high level overview what you can expect. So regarding the VAT, there are two main business models how you can sell your goods when you are talking about the cross-border. First of all, the easiest way how you can do it is ship your goods from your home country. So, for example, you have your own warehouse, or you have some kind of the fulfillment center in your home country. Let's say that you are German-based seller. You are sending the goods only from Germany to other European Union countries, to buyers in other European Union countries, or you are exporting the goods, but you are doing your business only from your home country. Then the situation is quite clear and simple. At 2021, the European Union introduced something that is called VAT OSS schema. It simplified a lot how you can take over the VAT, how you can handle the VAT in terms of cross-border. So the only thing that you can that you should to remember about in terms of the VAT OSS, that whenever you are registered to the VAT OSS, all your transactions should be taxed in the destination country. So, for example, if you are a German seller that is selling the goods to France, you will apply the French VAT rate. How it is a simplification, you can ask. The biggest simplification is that all the VAT is paid and settled in your home country. So you have one quarterly settled declaration that should be fulfilled in your local tax office. Before the VAT OSS was introduced, you were obliged to control the cross-border sales thresholds. You were obliged to have multiple VAT registrations in multiple countries. Now you are just required to have one VAT OSS registration in your home country, and it should handle your whole B2C cross-border sales via one quarterly based declaration. The second way how you can do your business in cross-border is that you can use warehouses in other European Union countries, other from your home country. For example, let's say that you are using Amazon FBA and you are selling the goods not only from Germany, but you are selling the goods also from France, Spain, Czech Republic, and Poland. Then, before you send even one item to a warehouse in another country, you are obliged to have a local VAT registration in this country. This is very important to take into the consideration when you are planning your expansion strategy, as the VAT as the VAT registration process in multiple countries looks a bit different and takes and it can take from, let's say, 2 weeks in Poland to 1 year in Spain. So this is something that you can take into the consideration, that whenever you are planning to expand your business model to sell from different countries than your home country, check how much time you will spend, how much time it required to have the local VAT registration in this particular country. So to make it simple, to summarize it a bit, when you are sending the goods from your home country, just register to the VAT OSS. Your accountant should already know what VAT OSS is, and it should handle with any issue, and it will cover your business. If you plan to expand your business to other markets, store your goods in other countries, in warehouses in other countries, remember to have the local VAT. When you already have the local VAT registration in other countries and you are sending the goods across the Europe, so for example, I'm the Polish seller. In my expansion strategy, I have a warehouses in Czech Republic and Germany, and I'm already registered to those VAT numbers in Czech Republic and in Germany, and I want to start the sales. To do it, I need to send my products, to send the items to the warehouses in Czech Republic and in Germany. What is very important, that such a movements needs to be declared in the tax offices in the source country and in the destination country. So if I'm sending the goods from my Polish warehouse to my German warehouse, and let's say that I'm sending 100 mobile phones that are worth 10,000 euro, it is very important that in Poland I will declare the ICS, intra-community sales of goods, for 10,000 euro, and in Germany I will declare intra-community acquisition of goods also for 10,000 euro, the ICA declaration. It is very important that those two declarations are consistent, as the tax offices are doing the cross checks. So they are validating if the amount and value of the goods sent from one country to another country is declared in exactly the same way and in exactly the same values in those two countries. What you need to remember, that, for example, if you are using external fulfillment services like Amazon FBA, and those services are moving the goods in your name, you are also obliged to declare those values to the tax offices. So if you are part of the FBA program and Amazon is doing the FC transfers between the Amazon fulfillment centers in various countries, you are obliged to declare those transfers to both tax offices, the source tax office and destination tax office. The next aspect that you need to think about is Intrastat. Intrastat is the statistical system that is used to control the import and export values that are based on the movement of goods in European Union, but not only in European Union, but let's focus on the European Union. So you need to remember that it will apply to you, and you will be obliged to declare the Intrastat, not only in your home country, but also in all the countries where you have the VAT registration active. So whenever you are storing the goods in other countries, warehouses in other countries that your home country, you can be obliged to settle the Intrastat declaration. When you are obliged, it depends, as every country has a dedicated thresholds that vary a lot. Those thresholds define if you should or if you have to settle the Intrastat, or if you don't have to do it. For example, in Poland, those thresholds are quite massive. They are over 1 million zloty in one way and 6 million zloty in second way. But for example, in Italy, for the B2B transaction, when you are selling via the B2B channels from Italy to other European Union country, the Intrastat is applicable from the first transaction. So it really depends from the country how the thresholds are formed. So you need to be aware of it, and you need to control it. Can I be fined? Yes. The office that is responsible for controlling the Intrastat can fine you. The good news is that first of all, they will inform you that you should settle the Intrastat. You will have the first warning, second warning. If you will ignore it, then probably they will fine you. You need to be aware that those fines can be quite big. But like I said, good news is that you will receive multiple warnings before the fine. Regarding the documentation, how to document the sales. So this is very local. So I will just talk about the aspects that are not local, that are like universal in terms of European Union. First of all, do I have to issue the invoices? In most cases, yes. If the B2B, if you are if the sales is on the B2B level, so if we are selling something via the B2B channel, our buyer is a registered company, and he required the invoice, we need to issue it. In terms of the VAT OSS, how it should be documented. So good news in terms of the VAT OSS, there is no formal requirement that you need to issue an invoice and send the invoice to the customer, but you need to somehow track the transactions. So the good tip is that you will issue some kind of the document, even internal document, to every VAT OSS transaction that you are performing. It doesn't have to be invoice sent to the customer, but the good way to do it is to somehow track it in your accounting system, even in the Excel file. You need to have some kind of the list of all the VAT OSS transactions that you have done. When I can apply zero VAT rate for intra-community supplies. Intra-community supplies are special kind of the transactions where the buyer is the company registered to the VIES registry, so registered for the B2B cross-border transaction. So if you have a confirmation that your buyer is from another EU country and the parcel was sent from one country to another, so you have, for example, a tracking number of a shipment, and you have confirmation that on the moment of sale, your buyer was in the VIES system, active for the B2B transactions, cross-border B2B transactions, you can apply zero VAT rate for such a transaction. What about exports? For exports, in most cases, you can also use 0% VAT rate, but you need to remember that you are obliged to store confirmation of the customs. So you need to have the documents that prove that particular parcel was sent from European Union to another non-European Union country. And the last question that is also kind of a tricky, and it can cause some troubles for a lot of sellers, is that your buyer is a company, but it's not listed in the VIES system. What you should do? Of course, we are talking about the cross-border transaction. So just to give you an example, let's say that you are a German seller selling to a French buyer who is a company, but they are not registered in the VIES system. So you cannot apply the zero VAT rates as one of the prerequisites to apply the zero VAT rates and treat transaction as ICS is that the buyers in the VIES system. What you should do here, you should apply the local VAT rate and treat this transaction as the local B2C. You cannot treat it as the VAT OSS, as VAT OSS can be applied only to the B2C transaction. You cannot treat it as the ICS, as the buyer is not listed in the VIES. You should apply the local VAT for such a transaction and treat it as a local B2B. Okay, if we can switch. So just to do a quick summary, how to perform the VIES cross-border sales strategy, how to go to another markets. First of all, build a good strategy in terms of the business strategy and try to define the markets that are best for your product. So analyze your products in specific markets. We all know that Germany, Great Britain, France are the biggest markets, but for particular products, it can occur that, for example, Denmark can be very interesting. The northern markets can be very interesting. The Romania can be very interesting and not as competitive as a German market. So sometimes the biggest market is not the best one for us. You need to always check the competition, check the pricing, check the seasonality of your products. And at the beginning, think about the fulfillment. Try to think how you will send your goods to your buyers within a day or two. You need to remember that one of the biggest factors how our customers decide if they should buy your product or your competition is if they will receive the product same day or the next day. So the logistics is super important. So maybe consider external fulfillment partner or a fulfillment program that maybe the marketplace can provide for you. Then think about the taxes. Check whether the VAT OSS is sufficient for you. So if you decide to sell from your home country, then VAT OSS will be okay. If you plan to have a local logistic partner, if you plan to send from other country the other country that your home country, please remember about the VAT registration. It's very important to be prepared from the tax perspective, because after few months of selling goods without having the VAT registration, you will be handling contact with the tax office and not focusing on expanding your sales. So it is super important to think about it. Think about the Intrastat, think about the invoicing. You need to be aware that a lot of countries are introducing e-invoicing as this moment. So like the tax landscape in European Union changes a lot, and multiple countries in the next few years will implement the e-invoicing models, and you can be obliged to add your invoices to the local e-invoicing systems. So this is something that you can that you should always check. So do some do a quite a deep research in terms of taxes, or maybe contact local tax advisor to verify if there are some specific technical aspects that you should take into the consideration. Build a strong operational foundation. This is pretty obvious. Translate your listing, localize your context. So apply the local aspects on your product descriptions, not just GPT automated translation. Adapt your returns policy. Prepare the good good policies in terms of sales. Think about how to integrate your ERP with invoicing systems. And last but not least, step-by-step scaling. This is something that I always proposing to my customers. Start with one country, start with maybe a single marketplace. Do not try, if you do not have endless resources, endless amounts of money, do not try to scale to 6 or 7 markets at once on multiple marketplaces. Check one marketplace, check one country, the one that you think will be the most profitable for you, verify how it will go, adapt the processes based on this, then you can scale wider. This is something that I already talk, maintain compliance and manage risk. So e-invoicing, Intrastats, VAT registrations, you can always verify all of those with the tax advisor or compliance partners. So thanks a lot. If you have any questions, I'm here for you. You can always drop a question to my email, or you can contact Amavat. We have a free consultation if you plan to scale. It is always better to ask the question at the beginning than after 6 months when you are in the middle of the sales season. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you. And it was, I think, some information was new to me as well. So I'm thankful for having this chance to learn more. And I'm sure if you have a question, you can either drop it here or reach out to Amavat directly. You'll get the answers right away. We are continuing the presentation, and Darina and I will let you know how M2E can be helpful to you and your business while you are expanding either to a new integration or to new markets or to new markets with new integrations using our products. So before we switch to the next part, I'll just use a really quick moment here to recognize our media partner, MageFun. They develop solutions and on Shopify as well that are quite reliable, human-centered, and transparent. They have been on the market since 2015, so they've got quite a long history and much experience. And with their app, which is server GTM app, sellers and users can track purchases, cards, and even customer behavior using Google Analytics and Google Ads. So you're welcome to research on that as well. We are going further, and I'll pass it to my colleague Darina, who will pick up from here and let you know what you can actually do with M2E while you're expanding globally.
Thank you, Anna. Hello, everyone. So probably as online sellers, many of you are start locally, I think, focusing on one marketplace on one country. But the truth is that the cross-border e-commerce is growing fast than ever. And now global buyers are searching new products outside their original countries. And I think it's definitely a huge opportunity for the brands who are ready to expand globally. And of course, M2E helps such businesses reach these international markets. And maybe if you suddenly not familiar with M2E or won't know about how to shortcut your time for manual work or operational work and focus on the expanding your brand, I suggest moving to the next slide and to know about the M2E and our ecosystem. So first of all, M2E has been on the market over 16 years, and we actually start with the M2E Pro solution, helping our Magento users to connect their store to eBay. And after some time, we expanded our integrations list. And now this list includes the Shopify, BigCommerce, Salesforce, and other platforms that help you to build your own store. And global marketplaces like Amazon, Temu, Ota, OnBuy, Shein, and others that help you to reach new customers around the world. So once you connect your all integrations, your sales channels to M2E, you get a single workspace to manage all your sales, and there is no matter which platform or country you are selling in. And I think we go next to the next slide. So if needed, you can easily list your products from one marketplace or one specific platform to another one. It helps you, I think, quickly expand across the market with minimal manual efforts. And more importantly, no matter where the sales happen, because M2E helps you to automate and centralize all updates, all inventory, stock levels in one place in your store-based platforms. So in this case, your store as a source of your store in this case will be a source of truth. And using these such automation advantages, I think you can still want to remain to be flexible as possible. So, for example, you can easily set your individual pricing rule to optimize your pricing strategy for each marketplace. And of course, if we are talking about the order management across the multiple platforms, M2E helps you to centralize everything in one place, and you can ensure that all essential details about your order, like prices, product information, VAT information, already transferred to your store-based platform. And on the next slide, I like to additionally highlight, I think, maybe the most demanded, or for someone the most painful cross-border trade points. The first one is related to the general product safety information. I think it's very time confusing for each business to find such products from your catalogs, to fill in this information about the GPSR, and sometimes update this information across all platforms. But with the M2E, you only fill them out once, and our application will automatically pass this information across all your connected marketplaces and e-commerce platforms. And the second important thing related to the currencies and tax rules across e-commerce platforms and other countries. And in this way, M2E simplifies also in the automatic way this process, and transfer all necessary order VAT data currencies to your store-based platform. But in this case, we use your store's native currency. So all things will be stored in your store-based platform. And of course, such partners like Amavat helps you with VAT reporting, and you can stay fully compliant with the local requirements with M2E and Amavat. So for the next slide, I want to pass the word back to Anna.
Thank you. I just want to, while Darina was finishing up on the previous points, I want to, as a part of the audience, say that it's pretty evident having years of experience that both partners like Amavat and M2E going through the same kind of challenges the sellers go experience, and it just proves that having an advisor and having a team to work with, it's much easier to start selling and to expand and to go globally, just because we've already learned and earned that experience, and we are happy to share it with you while we get it from our customers, for example, and multiple stores. So here today we'll be sharing, and I'm very much proud to share this story of just one of our businesses that we have been working with since 2019. There are much more sellers and many other stories that we can, could be sharing. But I think one example is enough to prove that it's not just theory and it's not just a story to present, but sellers get actually sales growing and their presence in e-commerce expanded. So back in 2019, we started working with the UK-based company, and they were starting off with eBay marketplace and were selling locally to the domestic audience. A couple of years later, they joined Amazon and started selling and expanding to the new markets in Europe and also in the US. And today they have been selling, it's 6 years later, right? Have been selling on 5 different marketplaces and have been selling across Europe, UK, and the US. And you can see the numbers. They might not be, like 100 exact, but they are very close to reality, as we have been working with the company and have been working not just as a solution, but also as a part of the team, because our support team have been working with our large and long-term customers very closely. So we've been observing the story and going and living through it together with the company. With this story, I just want to say that it's for us, it's honor and I hope it's pleasure for businesses to realize that it's all doable, and the technology just proves how easy it can be to, erase the barriers and get your business growing.
I will move to the next slide regarding the Amazon Repricer, and this, as you understand, these slides covers only the sellers who are already sales on Amazon or plan to sell on this platform. And with Amazon Repricer, you can set your pricing goals, for example, to win the buy box winner or optimize your pricing among the competitors. So using this tool is absolutely and completely free of charge, because it's one of the products of M2E ecosystem. And if you use the main product, it will be as additional service for your business. And the next service also related to the Amazon is Amazon multi-channel fulfillment. It allows you to sell across multiple platforms or channels like eBay, Otto, Temu, or your own website. And in this case, Amazon handles the shipping and order processing and order fulfillment. And the M2E in their turn make sure that your orders and inventory perfectly synchronized. And the last one is the M2E Analytics, which help you to measure your success. And I think it's tool provide you a full view of your business performance. You can also find the most profitable products from your catalog and across your sales channels, and grow internationally if you plan to go to cross-border trade or already sell across several marketplaces. I think that's everything that we want to share and cover in this presentation today. I hope you can see that the cross-border trade does not complicate it, and you also see our contacts, M2E contacts on the screen. We're always open to for help, and it's now I think we can finish our Q&A session.
Will Amavat help with cross-border sales? I want to sell to Germany and France.
So in regards how we can help, first of all, we can provide VAT registration and settlements in all European Union countries, plus UK and Norway and Switzerland. So especially in France and Germany, yes, do I recall it well? We can efficiently provide a VAT registration. We have also a system that automatically connects to multiple marketplaces or integrators to gather the data in a way that it will not require from you providing us some kind of sophisticated CSV or Excel files. Of course, if your sales channel is not on our integration list, we have file interfaces that can help to integrate the data with us. Moreover, our business model is constructed in a way that we are using the local tax advisors as a partners. So if you will have even a more complicated issues that will require the tax advisory help, we have this possibility to connect you with local tax advisors that can handle almost all cases. So this is for sure the way how we can help. I think that the easiest way is to contact us via our webpage. And the first consultation with us is also always for free. We will assess your needs, help you to decide what kind of products from us, or what kind of literally what you should do in order to start the sales on those markets. From the tax perspective, recently we've also introduced the EPR services. So if you need anything that is related to EPR, chemical taxes, eco taxes in European Union, this is also something where we can help with. The best way is to contact us, as let's say in most cases the questions are very targeted in terms of the customer needs. So regarding the details, it will be easier if you contact us.
Could you please, Tomasz, cover these questions? Does it depend on which platform I'm using, or can Amavat work with any e-commerce system?
So it depends. If we are talking about automated data acquisition or dedicated interfaces, we have a solution prepared for Amazon, for Kaufland in all of the countries, for Bezlinker, this is the Polish integrator, for Allegro, the Polish main marketplace. We have a direct integration with Pigu, the Romanian marketplace. On German market, we have an integration with TaxDo if you are using them as a tax data integrator. And we are finishing with integration with Pigu and Cdiscount for Lithuanian market, Estonian, Finnish, and French. And in few next weeks, we plan also to introduce eBay and Shopify. But even if we do not have a direct integration, we have file interfaces that allow our customers to provide us data via the easy to fill Excel file. If this is not sufficient, we have quite a robust and skilled IT department that can build dedicated interfaces for our customers to handle specific data formats that they can use to make that data exchange much more efficient.
What is the fastest way to bulk apply compliance to hundreds of SKUs? I can go ahead and answer it right away, regardless of whether you are using an M2E Cloud or M2E Pro solution, and it applicable to all platforms that you are selling from. The compliance settings can be applied to, and they are developed in a way that they can be applied to multiple products in bulk. So you don't assign certain compliance settings to single products. You assign them to either a group of products or all of your products, and it helps you to update the whole or multiple products on the market right away. Since the compliant requirements have been on the market for quite some time, you won't be able to list products on certain markets without having the compliance provided. So you might already have it set and applied to products before you actually make your offers available on the market. How does M2E help with GPSR for Amazon? I think it's something that we were just talking about. When you list your products on the channel, you have to make sure that you provide all the information, including the compliance details that Amazon expects from you. Especially if it's a new product and you create new async in their catalog, you will be asked to provide as many details as they will expect from you. And if you are familiar with such meaning as product type, which is kind of a category on Amazon, you will be providing the compliance details that their certain product type that you are using requires. Once you provide them, you can go ahead and list a product, and having these details in your platform will help you expand, because if you are starting selling the same product on a new market where you will be using the same product type, for example, or same category, you will be using the same compliance details, and it won't ask you to get the same settings configured over and over again. Can I copy Amazon listing to another marketplace such as Temu? Yes, Darina, if you're
its feature
topic,
it's already released in M2E Cloud, so we support both integration Amazon and Temu, and you definitely can copy your Amazon listings to Temu. Also, you can copy eBay, Walmart, and other e-commerce platforms listing to Temu. This feature is really demanded from our customers, so yes, it's possible.
We've covered the questions we've got in Q&A box, and as we already shared on one of the slides, and Thomas shared their contacts as well, please feel free to reach out to us. The support that the team of the support managers that we have will be happy to answer any of your questions. And if it's just like everyday question, or you need guidance on a new integration, or you need a live demo, everything is quite accessible. And please feel free to let us know what information you require. We'll be happy to share it with you.